I got my makeshift studio today, but I have a fantastic, amazing, famous guest. Okay, Molson Hart, massive player on Twitter, X. What do you call it? Literally last week, Elon Musk replied to one of your tweets. You were on Tucker Carlson talking about Amazon. I mean, you've been all over the place, everywhere. You have a brand, Viahart. You sell teddy bears, rats, lions, all sorts of crazy stuff. And dude, finally great to be meeting you right here.
That's true. I'm the first Amazon $1 trillion seller. I have more money than Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk combined. And I am so honored and happy to be speaking to you, Aaron.
Nice, nice. No humor there. Zero humor. I wouldn't expect.
Yeah, that's not true. But we do sell a lot of rats on Amazon. That's true.
Yeah. So, what? Okay, your interview on Tucker Carlson. Your main thing was basically talking about Amazon. Okay, that like Amazon and kind of practices, and it's interesting because I am typically in all the like when there's arguing about Amazon, I'm almost the complete opposite side of you. I always say like, listen, Amazon is like holy. Not there, but like almost. Like they're the reason I'm in business. They bring the customers. They've been quite fair. They treat all sellers almost the same. And I always try to see the absolute best in Amazon, and they treat me extremely well. And so, and you're, in my view, your interview or generally when you talk is kind of like, hey, Amazon is doing bad stuff, right? So I kind of want to talk about, maybe we could meet in the middle of like, hey, I'm on this side, you're kind of on one side, right? Regardless of Amazon paying, all your bills and like being the place that, I guess feeds your family, you kind of talk harshly about them sometimes. So why don't you kind of just talk about your general view and why you go out and talk about these things?
Sure. So what I think is that Amazon is a good company with great people with some bad policies. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty thankful for what they've done. And I think what Bezos and the company and all the people who worked under them, it's like an amazing accomplishment. One of the greatest economic accomplishments of all time.
Yeah.
Like being able to press a button and first getting it in 2 days without having to drive to a store and then being able to get it within a couple of hours. That's amazing. I respect that so much. They've done some things to my company and to me and that I haven't really appreciated over the years. And I think they also have some policies that are bad for American consumers. Like the pricing policy that just increases prices for everyone. Some things that they've done to my company. A few years ago, there was this thing called the rule of 30. It was like the 32 problem. Did you ever hear about this?
Never heard of this. I never heard of this.
Okay, so I don't remember how many years ago, but just people found their hero items, their best-selling products on Amazon in the 30-second search result. And no one could figure out why. And it turns out that in my case, and I don't know about other people's cases, they had wrongly identified us as gaming the search algorithm. And so they took our best-selling items and just put it in the 30-second slot. And the 30-second slot isn't at the bottom of the first page. It's on the second page. And so when you searched our brand, it was just the 30-second search result. And
not 32 seconds. You mean the 30-second?
Yeah, like 30 seconds.
Like after 31st place, 32nd place.
Right. So there were 31 items before your item, which appeared even when you searched your own brand. And it just like caused us to lose a lot of sales. And they've wrongly accused. Go ahead.
What year was this?
I don't remember. Maybe 2020 or 2021, something like that. It was like it was like a 32 problem. And we found out later that they had wrongly identified us as like manipulating our search rank. And they've wrongly accused us.
Question on that.
Sure.
And I want to like say dissect this. So like the first issue, we have this 30-second thing. When you search your own brand name, you're not showing up.
Yeah.
So did you get like an account warning? Hey, you manipulated some search or something.
No.
Now
they just put our products there.
Okay, we're using something like a censure kit that says like, hey, your product is marked as adult or marked as something, or like there's some softwares that'll like detect something like that where you connect it to anything like that.
I don't remember at the time if we were using it. I think we may have been using Bindwise at the time, but so this wasn't like our product being, this is our product being put in the wrong category. So we sell toys. And so we've had many problems with our octopus end up being in sexual and health. And I think some of that was catalog team making a mistake. And we've also been subjected to like black hat attacks with that. But I don't think this was something that could have been picked up by like SentryKit or one of those software programs. It was just, they just put us in the 30-second slot in search results. And, you know, there's just been like a lot of stuff like that over the years, but that's not why I was
hold on.
Tucker.
I want to just get to this
Sure.
one. I feel like I still
okay.
So how long were you in this 30-second spot?
I don't remember. I mean, to be honest, it's
a week, a month.
I think we were in there for about a month.
About a month. Okay.
So you could argue that like we were mismanaging our
90%?
business.
Did your sales drop like 90% or something? Or
for the SKUs that were subjected to that, yeah, they dropped a lot. I don't know the exact numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, and look, I could give you a few other examples. I'm surprised that you've never had something like that. You know, I've had.
I have. So here, yeah. I'll put one thing forward, and again, I
sure.
What I like to do in anything in life is like, I'll always say it's because of me, right? Like generally as a general thing, like I did it, as opposed to like someone else did it. Mm-hmm. And because the truth is, any problem that I experience, the thing that's always there is me. I'm always there. So like, if I'm gonna come to a problem, I'll say, hey, I did it. What can I do to prevent it? What can I do to change it? What was my involvement in it? Now what can I do going forward? Because very unlikely am I going to control and influence how Amazon operates as a company. Very unlikely. Okay. Mm-hmm. Walmart, TikTok, like there's very little potential influence that I have. Maybe there is, man. And I'm not trying to diminish myself. I'm just saying, like, in any scenario that I'm involved in, my company's involved in, I go, well, what did I do, or what can I do? What can I do to prevent it? And so we've had issues on not just Amazon. I mean, we had a lawsuit that almost destroyed our company, 2018, I want to say. And first, I'm like, God, these guys are horrible and this and blah. But then in the end, I go, okay, fine. This was a violation of XYZ. I trusted a lawyer. One of the things, I got into a problem because I got a lawyer. The lawyer said, fight them. Their lawyer said, fight them. We fought like crazy. It was for a patent issue. And I later, when we resolved it and fixed the issue, the guy from the company said, my lawyer told me to make an example out of you and take you to the ground and destroy your entire company and everything you own. And I was going to do it. And I thought you were the worst person in the world. And then I met you and this, and then it was over, and then we settled. And it was amazing. And we still work with that company today. So in the end, like the moment where it changed was when I said, listen, I'm not blaming the lawyers. I'm like, what am I going to do? And with that viewpoint, I was able to like change the end result, right? And so it's like, yes, the stuff happened. I've had my listings. I saw a knife sharpener, for example. One day we wake up and there's like a huge neon blue dildo with like jizz coming out of the top.
You did that, Aaron. That was your fault.
It was a contribution, right? And then the next week we had like Kim Jong-un on the cover of one of our milk frothers or something. Yeah. Then we had, it was like,
it's not that bad.
Flagged, and our thing would say like choker and dildo and like,
yeah.
We had another time was like COVID-19, like all of the restricted terrible stuff. It would just pop in all of our stuff.
Yeah.
And that time it was very hard. Now I never blamed Amazon because like this is growing pains. Like when you have hundreds of millions, if not billions of people going on the site overall, you can't react. I'm a programmer by trade, so I know how like to cancel and this and whatever. Now eventually, 2 years later, there was a major solution, which was what people were doing there there's two things how that happens. But you have a contribution, there's contribution levels. So the highest contribution at all is Amazon. So they do their contribution.
Okay, but like if I may jump in here, I don't necessarily blame Amazon for all these problems.
No, I believe it.
And stuff like that. Like, and I think you're totally right that, one of the keys to success in life, and especially the key to entrepreneurship, is to take ownership, even when it like kind of really wasn't your fault. But like, there's always something you could have done to prevent it. So I'm fully in agreement with you on
Sweet.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so when I say, like, when I also compare Amazon to others. So like Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Walmart is so bad. Like,
yeah, they're horrible at operations. I agree.
If when someone complains about, let's say, Amazon seller support, I'm like, dude, have you ever sold on any marketplace? Have you ever sold on anywhere else? Like,
well,
I mean, dude, Walmart is the epitome of horrible. Okay, now there might be some others. Like, I mean, I don't know. TikTok right now has all these incentives and this, and like they give you reps, and like they're pretty good, but they're also massively subsidized. I mean,
sure.
I've worked on other marketplaces, horrendous. So I just go for the amount of customers, the amount of revenue, and the amount of support that they have. Where I go is like, that's pretty good. So, but sorry, back to the original thing, and then I guess I want you to talk. I know we're interchanging at this point, but I go, all this stuff happens. I ended up saying, hey, what am I going to do? Resolve the thing. On Amazon, they eventually made a thing where their contributions, the top is normally Amazon, then it's Vendor Central, and then it's like the sellers, right?
Yeah.
And then like if the seller who made the listing, I think, has a higher one.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's brand registry. But then they had a thing, and I've requested this, and this is like a trick for Amazon sellers. You can write, I wrote to the Bezos team. I was like, I think Bezos or Captain. I wrote to some team, and I said, make my brand registry contribution supersede Vendor Central contributions and maybe even Amazon contributions. And they accepted that, and they said, good, we've added this for your account, and never again did I have an issue with contributions again.
Globally or just US?
Well, that was US, I think. That was US. I'm not sure if that applied for everything.
I mean, that makes sense.
And I was like, dude, that's amazing. Like, and I understand, like, we're not the only type of seller. There's so many sellers, and different cases apply, but they recognized it as a problem and eventually made a solution. So I go, what else can I expect? I don't know.
Sure. Well, look, I mean, as I said, right? Good company, maybe even great company, historically great. I think historically great people, but they just have some bad policies. And just because they're better than Walmart at XYZ doesn't mean they can't be better in general. And if no one speaks up, right? Like, you did a great thing, right? You went to the Bezos team, whatever, and you were like, this is how it should work. This is a smarter way to do it. And credit to them for acknowledging that you're right. I agree with you. That's the best way to do it. But someone has to do that. Sure. And you were doing a good thing, not only for yourself, but for other sellers by doing that. And I'd like to think that I'm doing a good thing when regardless of where I'm speaking, when I'm talking about things that Amazon could do better. And okay, so their seller support is better than Walmart. But like, we're also paying, how much are you paying Amazon every year? How many millions? and think about that, right? Think about the quality of their seller support in the context of how much money that you're paying them. And remember that some of the money that you're paying them isn't just for like shipping and fulfillment. Some of it's just like a straight cut off the top. And it's like risk-free income for them. And then think about the quality of the support. And so then maybe you're like, their support could be a little bit better, maybe.
It's interesting. So then, argument, right, on your side, which is, hey, we pay them a lot. Same, I go, listen, they captured market, and they pay us a lot. I mean, they pay us more than any other marketplace, and we pay them more than any other marketplace, right? They are the lead. We pay them way more than we pay any other marketplace, but they also pay us more than any other marketplace. So, I mean, and some have higher. Oh, and we're talking about.
Yeah, but do we even disagree? That's true. I mean, I don't think like Amazon is bad. I don't think Amazon should be broken up. I think they have some bad policies that they should change, and I think that you probably think that too. I mean, we could talk about the individual policies.
So again, I agree. No one's perfect. No human being is perfect. No company is perfect. No government's perfect. No role model's perfect. No rapper's perfect. No
rapper is perfect. Hold on now. Hold on. There are some perfect rappers. Gucci Mane arguably is a perfect rapper, but all right, I'll let that pass.
No opera singers perfect.
I don't. Anyway. I'm a rap guy, clearly.
Okay. So everything can improve, and I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, I think we're talking a lot of the same language. And for example, probably the policy that I would dislike maybe the most is the whole buy box pricing thing.
That's the one that I talked about.
Okay. I think
that's like the main one that I think is a horrible policy.
I've looked at it many times, and I'll tell you, let's say I was Andy Jassy and I'm taking over,
yeah,
I would be very afraid to change it. Okay? and I'm being serious. I'm talking about this, so I'm trying to just take another viewpoint, right? Because when I go like this is so dumb and it's terrible, and this, and I go here's I'll tell you, I thought about this because this is the one thing where I go, probably the worst thing they have going in terms of sellers and buyers, right? Like, because in the way you're saying,
I can't believe you're now talking about this. Like,
so that's what I feel. And I want to explain this because I go, it hurts buyers because they can't, like, Walmart cannot have a cheaper price. Period. Walmart cannot have a cheaper price than Amazon because the sellers will not allow it. Okay. So therefore, Amazon has to have the best price if they're on other marketplaces. Which means, hey, if a marketplace takes 2% commission, so TikTok, well, they don't price match TikTok right now. But if they did, they would have a problem because TikTok...
Yeah, because TikTok has lower commissions.
TikTok has lesser fees. They're doing free shipping for over $25 products. They have massive incentives.
And so Walmart can't even lower their commissions.
What's that?
That Walmart can't lower their commissions because of this policy. That's where you're going with this. Yeah.
So so I see like, I'm with you. Dude, I'll tell you, when I look at it as a seller, I go...
So where do we disagree? It's a mess.
Well, so I'm going to try to get there, and I've worked this with you. Because this is, for me, the most, like, people, the complaints of, like, used as new, that was the problem, but guess what? They fixed it. Like, now, they don't return your inventory into the, like, so many problems that existed 8 years ago do not exist now. So there's a big, massive thing. A lot.
Well, I would argue that the last 1 or 2 years, they've gotten worse, but... Okay. I would say, like, from the beginning through 2021, amazing.
Okay. So, for example, the use as new, that came out, I think, last year. Where, what I'm talking about? Like, the returned inventory, they don't analyze it, evaluate it, they just send it right back to you.
I didn't know that. You
can enable it.
I don't think that's true, though, actually.
It is. I have never had any more use as new issues since that thing was enabled, like, about 4 months ago.
Oh, is that a box I need to check?
Yes.
What? Okay, hold on. All right, because we've continued to see, like, basically Amazon gets a return.
It's a new setting, and it is called. I'm gonna pull it up right now, but it's called inspection something, like returns.
This is great, man. It's
return item evaluation. FBA returns evaluations and ownership settings. New has a big new badge. Right. This came out this year, from what I understand. And returnless refunds, fine. And the other one is returned item evaluation. Learn more. And then right there he says, hey, by default, your FBA is evaluated into sellable or unsellable condition when a customer returns an item or your inventory is marked as damaged.
Shut the podcast down. You just made my customers so happy and saved us a lot of money. Thank you.
There you go, man. I got you. Boy.
Yo, I changed my mind. Amazon is perfect.
Okay, good. Excellent, dude. There you go.
Amazon is perfect. Thank you. Problem solved.
They're going to be happy. So this is new. So Amazon typically is working to become better. And that's all I can expect of any
except for this policy.
What's that?
Except for the pricing policy, right?
So the pricing policy. So, okay, so let me go back to this. So here's the thing, and I don't know if we disagree or not.
Let Aaron cook.
in general, these, like this thing that came out, that returnless thing, and you disable that, dude, your customers are going to be happy. It's like so amazing. And I also understand, if you're Amazon, the reason they had it the other way is because then people say, like, for example, my daughter.
Yeah, I get it. It's obvious, right? Like,
so she sold one item and she doesn't want it to come back to her. Like, you're selling, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's such
and it's wasteful. I mean, sometimes people return the product and they actually return it new. But obviously the problem is someone who works in a warehouse who can potentially see millions of different items, okay, who may, in some cases, not be earning that much money. They're not all powerful, and they cannot know in every single instance whether or not someone repackaged the item and if it is indeed new. So I'm totally with you. That's a great setting. Powered Amazon. I want to end this podcast just to turn it on.
Okay, good. So now, as an example, so same brand registry has been absolutely spectacular. Dude, I can't if someone copied my images on Walmart, dude, it's very hard to take it down. TikTok, same thing. Like I'm like, dude, they copied my image, they use my brand name. Very hard to report. On Amazon, dude, you push a button, they're using your trademark, they're down in an hour max. Like,
they're not that good, but I'll agree the brand registry is solid.
Solid. Okay, so pricing. I've thought about this and I go like, why would Amazon have this? Okay, because they want to be a monopoly and they want to do this, and will it always hurt me for them to have a pricing policy? I've tried to think about this. Okay, could it be maybe good for me? And I came up with an answer. It's a total hypothesis, but I'll share it with you and you can tell me what you think. It could be crazy. Total like hypothesis. I just made it up because I had to find an answer.
All right, hit me.
Okay. Currently, Amazon represents, half of e-commerce in the US, something like that, roughly 40-50%. Okay. Massive market share. By being on Amazon, if you do Amazon well, you can reach almost every single household in the United States. It is the one place where they are the lead, and like rather than have to be good in millions of places, you're like, I'm good here, and you could really have a great business like your business or ours. And let's say the pricing policy was removed tomorrow. Okay. Now, let's just say every other marketplace says, tell you what, we have price matching. Everything on our store is $1 less than Amazon. No matter what, you put in a UPC, we have $1 less. Okay. And let's say
it doesn't have to be new UPC. It could be the same UPC, right?
Then,
Amazon just ended.
You could search the UPC, like you find the
same sure.
Yeah. You could have a massive push of some other marketplace.
Yeah.
Who knows? A brand new one. Okay. Let's say it was Public Square that was released on that thing. They're actually pretty good. We started with them. I told you. They're very good. Like it's a bit about them. Temu, new one or old one, but any of them. They said, all right, this is our new feature. No matter what, $1 less than Amazon. They throw billions in that thing. Now the consumer starts going to this other place, and it seems cool, but now this thing starts getting shattered. And it gets like very divided, and potentially Amazon loses a huge amount of market share. People just go like, dude, no matter what, guarantee $1 less than Amazon. That could be a reason that starts taking Amazon actually down. Like that is a thing that can happen. Let's say it was Target. Okay, Target. Okay. Fine. Target did it.
When does the bad stuff happen?
so let's say they do this, right? Okay. Now you go, well, just like how Amazon. We get the most money out of Amazon, right? Like we earn the most out of Amazon. We also pay.
I mean, Amazon, I think, makes more money than we do, but go on.
Sure, I just mean compared to wherever else, right? They right now they are our main source of income currently. If it moved to another marketplace, and let's say that marketplace started taking some bunch of market share in this, and we don't know what they're going to do, percentage, fees. Their fees could be less, their fees could be more, their fees could be something. But overall, they're kind of mooching on this feature of like, everything is $1 less than Amazon. Okay? So now they don't have to advertise. So all the traffic that's going to Amazon, they just go, fuck it. Forget that. Just come to us. We're $1 less than Amazon. And you basically have all the brands and everything cheaper over here. Now, Amazon, let's say their revenue goes down 20%. Okay? Everyone else bought on this other fucking marketplace. Now Amazon has less. Like that's what I was saying. If I'm Andy Jassy, right? So here's where I'm going down 5 years ago.
Yeah, like I'm still waiting for the negative consequences here. Though. Like everything sounds pretty good so far for like consumers and for us. But go on.
Okay. So what happens if, let's say, Amazon gets like quote unquote like dethroned, right? And this other place starts getting all this market share. Right? And now Amazon is like, holy shit, they're suffering, and they have to like, I don't know, they have to take.
Maybe they have to be $2 less.
Yeah, $2 less.
That'd be oh my gosh, that'd be so bad.
I don't know, they do something fucking crazy like TikTok, like everything that's on Amazon are because you see TikTok doesn't push on like lower prices. A lot of stuff that's on TikTok is maybe more expensive right now.
Yes, sure.
Right? They don't have the offering of like we're just cheaper than Amazon because
they're not. That's not their point.
What's that?
Yeah, that's not their selling point to consumers right now.
So if the selling point becomes, hey, just get it cheaper than Amazon, the entire market is just going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And maybe Amazon divests, and then you have to now be on many marketplaces. Yes, maybe you get more margin here, but those guys maybe don't invest in the infrastructure like Amazon, right?
Okay.
And maybe they're not developing all their tools and the sellers, and they do have hijacker. Like, they're not as advanced as Amazon, so they get to kind of mooch, and they kind of, they're mooching on all this work that's been done. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. I was just saying, if I was Amazon, it would be very hard to choose.
All right.
And potentially down 10 years down the line, when everything is so cheap, because there's 20 websites that everybody has, like, every website goes, dude, Amazon's now the highest price ever. Nobody shops on Amazon, and now I have to be on fucking 20 marketplaces to get the same amount of sales I made before.
Yeah.
It's more complicated, more crazy, because now Amazon is not even fucking something special. Because they just lost fucking 50% of the market share. I don't know. I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm just saying that all I'm saying is, to a degree, I understand that. And if I took like Andy Jassy's role,
sure,
I don't know that I could deal with the consequence of what would happen to Amazon. And to the degree that Amazon survives and does well, I believe I also survive and do well to a degree, because that's my main source of income. It's like my partnership, like it's my buddy.
Okay.
Like, I want you to do well.
All right, I get what you're saying. It doesn't make any sense, but I get it. Okay, so yes, you were right. I agree with you. From Andy Jassy's perspective, kind of like in a vacuum, I can see why it is competitively beneficial to prevent other marketplaces from lowering their prices. But that's obviously bad for consumers if no other marketplace can lower their prices. I would also argue that it's bad for us, because like in your business, right? Don't you like having multiple suppliers? If you have multiple suppliers, you can kind of pit them off each other, and you can get the best price, and you can choose the guys with the best price and the best service, right? I mean, it sucks when we only have 3 options when we're trying to ship things out, like UPS, FedEx, and USPS. It's so much better if you can have more. And so the same thing would happen in the Amazon world if there were if there were legitimate alternatives that weren't just like 2 to 3% of Amazon's revenue. And it would force all the marketplaces, not only Amazon, to be more competitive. And so I don't think Amazon could be doing what they're doing with all these crazy fees, low inventory fee, and what's the other one? Oh, the placement fees, the inbound fees. Like, all that stuff is happening because they know that sellers can't get off that platform and other marketplaces cannot compete. That's why they're able to raise prices on us. And so by allowing other marketplaces to lower their commissions, which would result in lower prices for consumers, we'd have a competitive environment. And it would be better for brands because we could choose which marketplace we like better or whatever. And it would be better for consumers because prices would go down. And so it's just like, I see Andy Jassy's perspective, right? Like, you don't want that to happen because you want to keep like 51% plus of the market. But the reality is that's like kind of uncompetitive. Like, I could go kill all my competitors with a gun. Right. And you can see why I did that. I'm not equating it. I'm not equating it. But my point is that's not ideal for consumers, because if everyone has to buy from me, then they have to pay at a really high price.
So let's take it down. I fully understand what you said. Now let's take it down to a more basic level. Okay.
Sure.
There is the suggestion, right? Kind of what, to a degree, you're suggesting, hey, if there's a law that gets passed that tells Amazon you can't do that. Right, that's essentially the solution. No,
that doesn't have to be the solution. Like, the courts can also. Well, look, that's not my place, right? Because I'm not in Congress, and I'm not even a lawyer, and I'm not a judge or anything. And as a non-lawyer, I can tell you that a judge can rule that this pricing policy is anti-competitive under certain types of antitrust law. That's a possibility, and that doesn't need. It doesn't need to go to Congress and have a new law.
So let's put it this way. So there's kind of a few points to discuss here.
Yeah.
First is, did you ever read a book called Rule by Secrecy? Jim Marrs?
Never, no.
Okay. Phenomenal book.
Okay.
There was a crazy monopoly at that time period in the 20s or 30s or something. Mm-hmm. And it was massive. I think it was an oil or something. And it took the entire market. And a judge came and said, you can't do that. And broke them up.
Right.
Inadvertently, what occurred was that company became 3 times more powerful because they had to separate. So the law. So when it comes from a law person saying, well, you can't do that because that's bad.
Right.
a lot of times the effect is the opposite of what was intended.
Okay? True.
This is a foundational thing, and this is an example from the book, and you can read it because I'm not going to articulate it nearly as well as this guy Jim Marrs. But the thing separated, and then what they did is since they made like another 200 entities, and they all separated.
Yeah.
And their market share increased.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the judge, whoever's like, you can't do this, I'm the government, right?
Sure.
Interfering. They thought they were going to save consumers, but it ended up having an opposite effect, right?
Oh, yeah. And this could happen here, right? So I could give you an example of that. So look, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I don't know anything about this, but if the government, whatever, says like, okay, Amazon needs to be broken up, and we're going to break Amazon up into 4 different companies for like the Northwest, Southeast, Northeast.
Or let's say they don't say that. They say you can't operate anymore, but something's going to happen. Like you can't.
Right. Depending on how the government like decides to quote unquote solve this solution, they can make it worse. That is true. I agree totally. But that my position is not that the policy is bad and Amazon should be broken up. My position is just the policy is bad. That's it.
They can be legally prevented from doing that. Like, let's say a law comes to Amazon, you cannot take away people's buy box. Whatever.
Well, I mean, that's a bad way of solving the problem, but yeah, sure.
So that's what I want to get at is like each way there's like, hey, let's say something. I believe in like constructive criticism. Like, hey, let's say that.
Well, I mean, I think you and I right now could solve this problem. Like, I think that we could just change the policy in a way that makes sense. Could we not?
Right. So that's what I was saying. If I was Andy Jassy,
yeah.
Because who would change the policy? It's either government enforcement or it's internal.
Or Congress, which I guess is government enforcement. You're right. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a judge. You're totally right.
Government,
yeah,
or Amazon.
Or no, there's actually another option. Yeah. Arguably, like TikTok, right? So it's an open debate as to whether or not.
Oh yeah, like
how much are they like? If there's a technological change, that also can, people be like, oh my God, Walmart's unstoppable. Then Amazon comes in and they're like, who's unstoppable now? And then someone can come in with like AI Amazon and be like, hey, why are we worried about this?
That is the change.
Yeah, that
will be the best change, in my opinion.
Sure.
Shein comes in, Amazon dropped their fees from apparel from 15% to 7%.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's right.
The markets are the best change. So when I believe like, hey, this policy is bad, it's either going to be a competitor, which is the best, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Amazon, so back to, this is not my second point.
I agree, but sometimes there are situations where markets don't solve the problem. Right. Well, look, I don't want to get into the details of the oil industry because, like, I'm not qualified to talk about it. Sure. Like, presumably, if Standard Oil, which was broken up, right? That was the Rockefeller.
Maybe this company. Is the example in the book. I don't even know, but maybe. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's possible. It probably is. If Standard Oil were still like a true monopoly, that isn't something that gets solved by technological change because we had oil, I don't know exactly the years, but like, so yeah, we have electric vehicles now, but like clearly oil is still like really important and it's been hundreds of years since we started to use it. And so my point is like, not every problem can be solved through technological change. And look, this is such a deep, complicated conversation, but I think that there are certain little loopholes in capitalism or even like capitalism plus government where you can kind of cheat your way into a permanent monopoly. And so all I'm trying to say is like, I don't have the power to create a solution. All I'm saying is the policy is bad. And it would be great if, as you said, internally, like someone could just be like, wow, like Aaron made a bunch of good points. Molson's making a lot of sense. Almost every seller hates this policy and consumers don't want to pay high prices. And wow, that makes sense. Walmart can't lower their commissions in order to compete with Amazon because of this pricing policy. And by the way, Walmart is so stupid that they actually also have this policy. They don't really enforce it because I don't know. And so then they could just change their mind internally and they could just compete. And that would be awesome. And Amazon is so much more powerful than Walmart anyway in terms of the quality of their operations and their infrastructure and their people. Why don't they just compete? But for some reason, they've chosen not to do that.
Let me put it this way. So this is my second point now. Okay. The pricing policy does not physically prevent someone to have a lower price on Walmart. What it does, it says if you want to work with Walmart, dude, Amazon is like a private company, and they're giving you the permission to be like, yo, come work with me. And like, if they wanted to, they just say like, we're not going to work with you. Right?
Well,
like,
it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's a little bit like if you want to sell to, let's call it 60% of the e-commerce market, right? Yeah. Maybe 50, something, depending on what industry. If it's books, it's higher. If it's dildos, I don't know what it is.
Small, I don't know.
Small. I buy a lot. Do you buy a lot of dildos? Would you know? Aaron's a Shopify D2C dildo guy only. No Amazon. Can't trust that stuff. So it's like if you want to sell to 60% of the market, you have to play by these rules. That's what it is, right?
As an example, here's the thing: in any like. They weren't made by government, right? Amazon, arguably, maybe somehow, well, I don't know, whatever, but it is a private company, or not private, it's a public company, but they're in business as a choice. Like they brought on third-party sellers as a choice. They could have had vendors, they could have, like, it is the choice. It's kind of like me saying, look, dude, Molson, no matter what, you have to bring me 20,000 of your rats at this price because I say so. Right? And it's like, well, you could say, no, I don't want to work with you. And you just like, don't work with that person. And that's your choice because that's your business. Like if I send you an invoice, you don't have to fulfill it. Same with Amazon. It's like,
okay, but here's the counter to this, right? So the two counters are, one, like what is their market share? 50 to 60%. That's the first counter. The second counter is that they are so big that they are affecting prices off of Amazon, which is bad for consumers. And because some people are like, look, I need to spend between 50 to 60. I want 50 to 60% of the market share. So I'm going to be on Amazon and I'm going to play by those rules. Those products, those sellers end up having higher prices off of Amazon. And so that's bad for consumers. And that's the argument. And so you could have a philosophical discussion about whether or not it ever makes sense for government to intervene in these like capitalist markets. And to be honest with you, I don't even have a strong opinion on that because I think that stuff is so complex. And I think people make that decision just based on their upbringing mostly, or like whatever course they took in college. But like, so I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. But I do think that the policy sucks. And it sounds like you agree with me.
So I would say this. Yeah. I've like kind of gone on my head on it, right? And I go, and I've had like what you're saying, I absolutely can understand fully because in a way, in one path of logic, everyone wins, right? You're like, dude, cheaper prices is.
You mean if they get rid of the policy?
Yeah, let's say like Andy Jassy said, you know what? Everyone can have the buy box, forget about it, right? Mm-hmm. Like he made that decision today. You're like, hey, go Jassy, like good job, right? And I, as a seller, be like, that probably helped me, right? But no one knows exactly ramifications of something that big.
Well, maybe Amazon, the king of A/B testing, could try it out on a few products, or even like a vertical. Who knows? Maybe they could just give it a shot, and maybe they could just like use that information and then like change their mind. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe.
So I don't know. So what I go is if for me, like if I was Andy Jassy, the reason I wouldn't do it is because the only thing that really occurs is the chance for a new marketplace to say, I have everything Amazon has except cheaper. And so you're basically saying like, you go, hey dude, right now you have a patent on
your patents and trademarks are monopolies. Like, you're right.
Why don't you just give your patents to everybody for free? Like you should, dude, because you have the amazing rat. And it's like,
the issue is that, look, I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but my understanding of the law is that the government will grant you a monopoly in your trademark. The government will grant you a monopoly in your patent, but the government actually has different rules when it comes to certain like anti-competitive, unfair competition stuff. And this is not a patent situation. This is not a trademark situation. It's totally different. And a bunch of people over the years have decided that that's not good. Whether or not those people are right or not, I don't know. That's like a very complex historical economic conversation.
Yeah,
and I don't
when
think
I've
it's
seen
good.
it like the oil, like break it up, I think that's not an option because I think the ramifications.
Right, but they don't have to break it up. Like there is a
no,
world where the
I'm
government is.
Some guy says you can't take away people's buy box, or they say whatever. Like they'll be.
Well, it depends on how the judges rule.
Correct.
They could just be like, look, you can't enforce pricing in the way in which you are. Maybe that's what they're going to say.
Sure.
And
but
that
again,
would,
all the stuff is
that.
exact down, like in lines, right? Which is like,
yeah.
hey, you can't change someone's price. In the end, whatever they do to stop this will have a negative effect. That's what I believe. If the government steps in, that's the way I see it. So you go, cool.
Yeah, I think that's true, but that's not necessarily true because so the government could like come up with what I'd call like a surgical solution where they'd be like, look, you just get like, here's your, like, you have to pay, okay, so the government could do a lot of things, like, right? They could be like, you got to pay $100 billion, $100 billion, or the government could be like, you know what, you don't have to pay any money, but just going forward, you can't do this.
But a fee, hold on, but that's crazy. This is crazy, hold on. But for them to pay a fee for their pricing policy would be absolutely ridiculous because, dude, all they've done is service customers so well that they buy the dollars in the business. And they're saying, dude,
the idea, I'll just tell you what the idea of Define is. I'm not going to tell you whether or not I believe in it. The idea is that the government is the people. Okay? So literally some of these lawsuits, when it is a monopoly website, it is not, when it is a monopoly lawsuit, it is not the state of North Dakota versus Amazon. It is literally the people of North Dakota versus Amazon. And so the idea is that, hold on. The idea is that when Amazon pays a fine to the, let me finish, Aaron. When Amazon pays a fine to the state of North Dakota, the money goes to the state, which is the people of North Dakota, and then the good government of North Dakota can then use that money to help the people. That's the idea, and that's the idea behind the fine, which I don't have a position on.
Yeah, so one, that's terrible. That's horrible because the one the government uses the government uses money terribly. Okay, so that's bad. Second, just like the shareholders of Tesla, like 4 shareholders to find billions of dollars when all the shareholders said that shouldn't be like it's ridiculous. There's no people. The government is not going to go with the money. It's a bad idea. And the Amazon's fine was saying I literally service customers so well. And I bring packages so well to the customers that I have so many people buying from me, and that's the problem because I'm saying. Well,
no, I mean you could.
Well, yeah, because if it's any other website, if you said Public Square did price matching, nobody would care because they're like, dude, you don't have to work with Public Square, right?
Right.
Like the issue that Amazon did, the reason that it's a problem for them to do it and not anybody else is because they have so much market share. But they got market share by hard work, by normal business, by doing good products, by building warehouses.
Yeah, so why don't they just keep doing that?
They have, and they got there with.
But they haven't. But they've been just like, dude. There was there's clearly been a moment. I don't know if it was 2022, 2021, when they're like, all right, we are now going to milk this cash cow. And look, I think that they did like I said that at the beginning, they've done a fantastic job at increasing speed of deliveries and even keeping prices low for a long time. But it seems like in the recent past, let's say the last 3 years, they've chosen to milk that cow, which is fine. You want to milk that cow, that's fine. But don't combine milking the cow with a policy that raises prices for consumers and reduces our supply options as sellers. That's just my opinion. I have a question for you, though. Besides the kind of like economic interplay, like as Jazzy, right? Why do you think they don't change this policy?
I think because for me, the aha thing that would quote unquote lower prices for customers is someone coming out and literally making a copy website and saying we have everything Amazon has, but $1 less or $5 less or 10% less or whatever. We'll charge sellers 4%
So
commission.
you think that that's why they're not changing the policy because they're worried about that?
Because Walmart, if I was CEO of Walmart and that policy was in place, I would say, guess what? Let's recruit every seller on Amazon. We'll give them a 4% fee. And we have everything 7% lower, and we do nothing. Our only advertising is we have 3% less prices than Amazon. Here you go, and they will milk. Everybody finds yourself on Amazon, reads your reviews, goes to Walmart, buys it 4% cheaper. Walmart doesn't have to advertise their website, doesn't have to promote their products. All they have to do.
Well, they do though, because it's not like there would just be only one other competitor. Well, there would be multiple, maybe, right?
Because who else could do it? So they say there's 5. Well, all those guys don't have to spend money on advertising.
I think Temu could do it.
Yeah, Temu could do it. So
Temu, TikTok,
Walmart, those 10 people, and they all did it. Sure. And one was 7% less, one was 8% less, one was this.
Yeah.
And eventually, this is like the race to the bottom of any market. When the price is the leading thing, everybody loses money and the prices go less, and your prices will be less everywhere. And overall, I believe what will happen is the moochers will come in, and their only offering is a new marketplace will come up and say AZ -5, and it'll be our Amazon 5% less.
But like one, that's great for consumers, and then if your secondary argument might be, well, none of these marketplaces are going to make any money, so they're not going to be able to invest in the future. You could maybe say that, but that's not actually what we've seen in industries where there is a race to the bottom. So if you look at the cost of computers, or if you look at the cost of chips and stuff like that, there's constant innovation, and these computers and chips keep on getting better.
And if you don't want to use a chip, you go to the other guy. That's the thing.
You don't exactly. How awesome is that? And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Like, if you're like, well, I don't want to buy an Amazon, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to some other place. First of all, if you're not big enough, they don't go after you. That pricing policy doesn't work. TikTok has already proven. TikTok, Shein, Temu, all these places are not price matched by Amazon. So when a person comes in that actually offers something that's, let's say, in a way, for some customers better, Amazon is not price matching. They've only price matched their direct guys, which is like Walmart, Target, Macy's.
Right.
The guys that they're saying you're just going to compare apples to apples. You're going to go, okay, fine, whatever. Honey, the app Honey, dude, Honey will be like, I am called the Amazon stealer. I will get your exact product on this place for less. And
but like, what's your point? All this sounds great. Like, just like if they stop doing that, that would be good.
Like, well, it would be terrible for Amazon. And if it's bad for Amazon,
who cares? Like, who cares if it's terrible for Amazon? If it's good for consumers and if it's good for small businesses. And hold on, it's not like a one-step game. It's not like just Amazon just like gets rid of this policy and then Amazon instantly dies. Amazon has an opportunity to continue to innovate. And Amazon can leverage all this killer infrastructure they have, from the vans to their amazing people, to continue to get better and better. And you know that if you get rid of this pricing policy, who wins, Amazon or Walmart?
Well, Walmart.
Amazon. No, Amazon's going to beat their ass because Walmart is bad. That you were talking about it earlier. Operationally, they're not strong. So let Amazon compete with Walmart. Just do it.
My argument is they are competing. Dude, they have 60% of the market or 50%, whatever. Like, this
they are competing, and like it's an absolute massacre because you can't lower the prices. I
believe if Amazon wins, then in the event somehow we're gonna win too. If we're good at Amazon, like if it's bad for Amazon,
like, dude, like you have to remember that like lots of Amazon sellers are getting absolutely destroyed right now.
Yes. Well, here's
so that's fine. I'm okay. That's capitalism. That's what they signed up for. But like, you can't be like, oh, Amazon sellers win when Amazon wins. Like, that's not true. Amazon is absolutely wiping out sellers right now.
So for example, I'll tell you one policy. I just posted it.
Okay.
For products less than $9.99, Walmart. Fulfilled by Walmart.
Yeah, but like, think about why that happened. I know exactly where you're going with this, right? Why did it happen?
Walmart adds $1 for items under $9.99.
Okay, Amazon, great. Walmart is bad at running e-commerce marketplaces. Why did Amazon lower their prices for that? It's because of competition from Temu and Shein. It's exactly what you said earlier. It's because why did they cut their referral fees on apparel? It's because of Shein. For sure Shein. Okay, so for the under 10 stuff, probably Temu, possibly TikTok. So competition seems to result in good things.
Your fees are high, Amazon, stop it. Like, no. The drop shipping, the thing.
By competing asymmetrically, or by having...
No one else in the world can say, hey, you can't like remove your buy box because you're too important. Like, any marketplace can do whatever pricing shit that they want. You on your website right now could raise all your prices 100%. No one's going to fucking stop you. You could you're in charge of your pricing. And Amazon is in charge of the pricing. They go, if you don't price it there, we're not going to sell your shit. they're not forced to sell your stuff. That's slavery. Amazon is not our slave. They're choosing, if you give me a good deal, then I'll work with you.
It's a little bit different for a couple of reasons. Because one, as we both agree, they got like 50 to 60% of the e-commerce market.
But they didn't do it. It wasn't a grant, dude. If they were given a grant, 50% of people have
it wasn't
Amazon.
A grant.
Huh?
All right. It wasn't a grant. The other thing is that they are not purchasing our products. Amazon does not buy our products. It is not a traditional wholesaler to retailer relationship. It is, we are operating on a marketplace. So it's a little bit different when they're like, you can't sell the product for this price.
Dude, it's like telling Target, look, Target, you have to accept the seller because we want
No, it's different because Target is actually purchasing the inventory. So you can't say it's exactly the same. It is somewhat different.
Target Plus, dude. Target Plus, same thing.
Well, a Target Plus marketplace is different from what you're bringing up because you're kind of bringing up like selling to Target. Okay, if Target has this pricing policy, okay, they shouldn't. I just don't think that it makes sense. It particularly doesn't make sense in Amazon's case because of the concentration of market share that they have and kind of their power in their space. I don't think that they should be preventing people from selling less elsewhere. Yeah. And you could make it. I agree with you.
I understand your viewpoint for sure. Trust me.
I understand yours, and I understand where you're coming from in terms of is the government going to do the right thing here? And I understand your point that as an Amazon seller, it's generally good. Like in theory, it's good for Amazon to win because then we as Amazon sellers win too. I don't think that's as compelling of an argument, but yeah. Yeah,
and I'll say this about another thing. So on the milking, I think, for example, the $1
on the milking,
$1 fee and below. Yeah, that dude when the small and light program came out.
Yeah,
that was so amazing, and they changed it because it used to be opt-in. Small and light used to be like 4 to 6 day shipping, and then you save $1.50, and we did on some items. But then they made it where small and light was the same delivery times as Prime.
Yeah,
and it was amazing. But that was only live for like 4 or 5 months, and then they kind of enabled it by default for everybody. So small and light is now just a lower FBA fee, but they lowered the fees for $9.99. That's amazing. And what I see is there are so many sellers, and it is more competitive now. We're coming out with more products, more stuff. Like we just the whole year.
What's your point?
Okay, my point is that Amazon wins. We win if we stay at the top of the game on Amazon.
Well, I would just argue that they lowered their fulfillment fees because of competition.
Well, maybe. But if that's the case, that is how it should happen organically, right?
I agree, but they have figured out this really cool loophole where if you have 50 to 60% of the market share and you prevent the people who are selling on your platform from selling less elsewhere, it restricts competition.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of the anti-competitive and this, I don't know how important it is because it's just, in a way, it's all voluntary, right? So if let's say there's corner stores, there's Walmarts and Kohl's and Macy's and all these places, and they said, you know what? You have to allow them to sell in your store because you have a market share. Like, no, dude, put up a shop next door. Put up your D2C site. They don't block D2C site. Like, it's a market, dude.
You've convinced me. You've convinced me. I take it all back. You win, Aaron. Aaron has convinced me. I now support the pricing policy.
I don't even know if I support it. Like, literally,
now we hear this.
No. My answer, my viewpoint is just if I was in Amazon's shoes, would I make the choice to turn it off? And I toyed that idea and I said it would be good for everybody. And then I go, maybe not. And I probably would keep it. That's all I'm saying. If I was internal, I don't think I would change the policy. I'm not even saying the policy was right. Maybe if they didn't have the policy 10 years ago, they would have still gone up and it would have been better. But we're not in the past. We're here now. And they've had it on for 10 years. And to change it is a massive change. And I think they could be doing other things. Okay, good.
Yeah. All right.
That was fun.
Yeah. Anything else? Or
no. That's the first part. I mean, now it's kind of getting late. We don't have that much time. But what I want to do is a test.
Okay.
Maybe with your brand, if you would help me, I have some good ideas for Viahart.
Yeah, we're bad at Amazon. So
I have some good ideas for you.
Hit me.
Okay, so let me just say I'll tell you what we did. So we were down the whole year, like January to June.
Okay,
we were down. Amazon has been a little bit down. I believe July we're gonna have a massive shift and we'll be up. Actually, we've been up in revenue, just a little bit down in profit. A lot of competition, a lot of stuff coming.
Yeah,
July I think will be up year over year, and mainly because we got smarter and we added more products. We're going into more markets, and taking advantage of the size tiers and all that stuff.
Okay.
But what occurred is this is a lag effect of us not creating more products and more future 2 years ago. So
Okay, I'm with you.
Ago, we kind of stopped. And so when we grow big, okay, 30% in a year or something, or in some years double.
Yeah, it's mostly from new SKUs.
I don't think we'll double anytime soon. But that was because of some massive planning ahead before.
Sure.
And what's occurring now, all of last year, we're like, well, mostly at the beginning of this year. The end of last year, maybe mostly this year, we've been really planning like, okay, how are we going to have a big change in the future? And it is new styles, new products, new markets, basically just increasing our offerings and having a better offering. Because in stores, the average product life...
Wait, quick question, Aaron. Have you thought about just banning your competition from lowering their prices? Have you thought about that instead of like...
I made a call and I said, yo, you can't do that. I said, get off.
It didn't work? Sorry. I hate to bring it back to that topic. All right, go ahead. Tell me about the new initiative.
Here's the thing. We're both on Amazon. We're in the same place. I have no more power than they do. If it was my marketplace, that's another story.
Yeah,
like
maybe we should start
Amazon could say tomorrow, you can't have your price less than $9.99 because that's our new price. If they did that, dude, this is their company, bro. Okay, sorry, whatever. It's fine. It's all good. I have not thought about making them not change their price. So here's what we did. A lot of new offerings, a lot of new products, a lot of new styles, and we're seeing a lot of these things pop off and make a huge difference, right? We've actually made better products than the competition, more interesting things. We're popping off. So the issue was the creation of more stuff for the future. So now for Viahart.
Yes.
I'm talking about Brain Flakes now because this is where I had the idea. Okay. So Brain Flakes, great product. We have a bunch in our house. We also have Legos. Okay.
Our arch enemy.
We've spent so much more on Legos.
Yep.
Why? Why do we buy more Legos than Brain Flakes?
Oh, is that a question for me?
Yeah. What do you think?
It's a fascinating and deep conversation. So I think, do you have kids, by the way?
Yeah, I have 3 and 1 coming.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome. Okay. Okay. It's really cool. Okay. So a couple of things. Lego is like really excellent at providing sets.
Yes.
And so your son, your daughter, whatever, they started with a basic set, and then they opened up the set and they looked through it and they built it. And at the back of the set catalog, because your kids are probably not using the internet, there was another set. And then they probably brought it to you and they're like, Daddy, I want this. And you're like, hey, you know what? Like maybe this Lego set is kind of expensive, but they're getting a brain workout while they build it. So you know what? I'm just going to buy it. And that cycle probably just happened. That's probably the main driver of why you're spending more on Lego than Brain Flakes.
Okay, I think there's some truth in that. Now, let's say with Brain Flakes, right?
Sure.
How many do I need?
Unfortunately, you can build so much for so little money that true.
You're done.
So, how many do you need? Look, we've got some fantastic new products coming out with like sets and stuff like that. So, but the value proposition of Brain Flakes is just like crazy good. So it depends on how into building you get. But
I'm a customer. So the thing is, I buy them, and then I'm done buying it. Like I have so much.
Yeah,
I don't
you're right
anymore. Like I'm done. But you're never done with Lego. Why am I never done with Lego, but I'm now done with Brain Flakes?
I don't know, because of the set idea I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So realize everything that Lego does. I don't have any here, but I have in my house. Like, okay, Star Wars came out or whatever, and they have like, here's a Star Wars, make a Yoda. I cannot make a Yoda with my current Legos. I need the special
because of the colors and the parts.
Yes, the colors.
Yeah. So
and then they have special pieces that only come there. So like. Ooh, the lightsaber. The lightsaber is not in another one. So it's one cycle of like an action. Like you do one, you start, and then you do something, and then you stop. So like I make this head block, and it's done, and that's my piece. So
you're totally right.
Yeah, if you had a thing like make a bird, and you
you have like a special like beak piece.
Yeah, you have the little feet piece. You have this, and then Brain Flakes bird. So you buy it, you make it, and now you put it around, you have it somewhere.
Right, exactly. And then you never take it apart and turn it into something else. Yeah.
And now I need to make the bear that comes out.
Yeah,
and I need to make the bean that comes out. Yeah. And there's little special pieces. Mm-hmm. And you can make more. Because with Brain Flakes, they're all the same. It's the same. There's no extra pieces to make anything different. There's no instructions.
Do you have the wheels and axles?
What's that?
Do you have the wheels and axles?
No, I haven't seen them.
All right. So yeah, you're totally right. And you know what? You know whose fault this is? Amazon's. No, I was just kidding. It's totally my fault. It's 100%. Look, it's my fault. So yeah, you're totally right. We've got some new parts coming out. We also have the wheels and the axles, which go well with Brain Flakes. But
you just sell wheels and axles by itself?
Yeah, we have that too. But then we also have it in sets. Like over my left shoulder, there's a freaking pirate ship, and then next to it, there's a space shuttle with wheels and axles, and we have all sorts of cool parts coming out.
But you sell like the pirate set, not like you have wheels.
Oh, it hasn't come out yet, but there's a sword and a shield right over there. But to your point, we need to have the new parts, and the new parts are coming out.
But they're not sold by themselves. Are they sold to make one thing?
So the wheels and axles are sold both to make as themselves. You can just buy wheels and axles, and we also have a green connector. But they're also they're part of like the space shuttle and stuff like that. So basically, the problem we ran into is we struggled to make consistent, high quality discs, and a follow-on effect of that was that we struggled I can't talk about them because of patents and stuff like that, but there are all these different parts ideas that we had that we wanted to integrate into it, and we were struggling to make good quality molds in high volume to let us do that. And I think that we've turned the corner, and we have some products on the way, and we got a 3D printer, which is so awesome, that's helping us tremendously, but it just hasn't hit the market yet. And you're totally right. So yeah, you gotta have the parts. Yeah, I feel shame. You made me feel shame. He shamed me on this podcast. Oh.
You're so funny. So I would just say is also parts are cool, and I think the idea a bumblebee, right, by itself or whatever, and later on when you work with Hello Kitty or licensing is a big thing Lego does. You maybe don't start with that because they didn't start with that. They did first whatever, and later on they did. Yeah. But it's you buy it to do that one thing, as opposed to buy feet and claws, and then okay, I bought my feet and claws. Now, okay, what the hell am I gonna do?
Yeah, the sweet spot is new pieces that are functionally cool instead of just a claw looking Brain Flakes disc. That's the sweet spot. Lego does kind of both, but you're right. And then licensing. So something. At my other business, I closed the deal in Japan, which was really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about in the new year, just flying to Japan with that strong dollar and just forcing those people over at Pokemon. You got to give me the license because Lego doesn't have a Pokemon license. So we got me some Brain Flakes.
That might be hard. That might be a hard first one. If they don't do licensing to Lego,
this guy has no belief in me. Well, no, they licensed it to Mattel, which is the owner of Mega Bloks.
Oh,
so there's a Pokemon license, but so if they're willing to license it to a rinky-dink company like Mattel, then Viahart, the famous Viahart, $1 trillion Amazon seller, we sell so much less than Zule. It's not even funny. Then they might give us a whirl. Let me tell you a quick thing that you might find interesting. When we did this trip to Japan to close a bunch of deals for Edison. I can't speak any Chinese. I can't speak any Japanese, but I can speak Chinese. And everyone in Japan was able to speak Chinese. So we just we show up in Japan and we just did these conversations in Chinese, and we closed a big deal over there. It was cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
That's wow. Yeah. Well, I speak fluent Spanish because I'm from Venezuela. So
I was wondering. That's so cool. When'd you come over?
I was young, 4 or 5.
4.
Yeah, but I grew up in Miami, dude. So Miami's like a Hispanic country.
Yeah, that's right. The nice thing about Miami is it's South America, but you can drive there or something.
Yeah,
that's what people say.
Yeah, no. People to put signs up. We speak English, at the barbershop.
Really? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's mostly Spanish speaking people. Yeah. But okay, so dude, I would love to see if like you need help on Amazon. We do some Amazon stuff. Maybe for the next time when we get together, let's build the stuff because I'll tell you, you do little sets, you do stuff. There's a lot of potential,
Yeah.
and then you have a great brand. And I think that if you know build on, make that brand amazing, you'll have no problems in your road. And dude, I'm happy to help
I
you for it.
it makes me feel horrible when you give me this constructive criticism, but like, oh man, you're good. And so I really love it. And I have in front of me on a piece of paper, I've got contribution for the brand registry thing. I've got return item evaluation, and I've got a third note. New parts so important. Aaron, you're spot on.
Dude, Amazon has the tools, bro. We gotta put 90% time to use those tools. Find them and use them, but I know it's fine. Okay.
Bro, you and me, let's start a marketplace. And
Oh no.
no,
Off record, let's maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
off the record, turn off the record.
No. But no, it's been amazing having you on, dude. It's been a lot of fun, and I really think you know you're going out there, you're talking, you have a lot of connections, and I hope to help you out, dude. Like that's the deal. I believe that smart people like yourself, when you put the effort on things, you can have a massive you have a big brand, and it can continue to grow. And if Amazon gets better, and you're on the cutting edge of all this stuff, you will grow. And then you know what I mean. That's enough for me. I'm happy with that, and I hope there's no action taken in my account to have a talk with you.
Yeah, you've been suspended for speaking with the
no,
enemy.
dude. I mean, I'm pushing this side, and you know, hopefully this association has no issue because hello, like whatever, we're just talking, we're friends. You put your viewpoint, everyone has a viewpoint, you know what I mean, and like
Yeah.
Hey,